Well, hello again, everyone, and welcome to our latest webcast that we're bringing you from Travel Weekly. And I'm here with Lee Hazlitt, who is the Chief Commercial Officer at Celestyal Cruises. And it's the morning after the AAAs. We had a good time last night, didn't we?
It's amazing. Another fabulous Travel Weekly event. Well done to you and the team.
Thank you very much. I'm surprised we're up quite so bright and early. But you made a brilliant announcement last night, and that is one of the reasons that we are talking to you this morning. But we will come on to that. We'll leave people waiting for a second because I haven't seen you for a while, and you've been out and about doing all sorts of things. So give us an update on what's happening at Celestyal. You know, you've just had your winter season in the Gulf. So tell us how that's all gone.
Well, it's been a busy last 6 months. Lots of travelling around. We're growing the team on a global scale. So I've been spending a lot of time in the Gulf region, but as well as that in North America. As you say, we just had a really successful first winter season. The ships were 20% fuller than we'd hoped they'd be, so we were delighted. We announced that we're taking both ships to the region this winter, which we'll be there in December. So we'll be there for the Abu Dhabi F1, which is exciting. And on a global scale, all the way from Australia and APAC to North America and what we're doing in Europe, we're getting great traction for the Gulf. So we're really pleased with
why is it so popular? Is it just sort of really port intensive? It's just offering something very different that many other lines don't offer. Why is it so successful, that program?
Well, we're known for the Greek islands, the Eastern Mediterranean, port intensive itineraries, limited sea days, the expertise that we have locally. And what we've tried to do as we grew the business outside of that Greek islands footprint is we tried to replicate that in the UAE, Qatar, and those countries. And we think we put together some brilliant itineraries. So we've got a 7-day desert days itinerary, different port every day. And then we have the iconic Arabia 3 and 4 night, which again is a great product for that part of the region. But from a tourism perspective, it's just growing there. Great airlift, brilliant airlines. So if you look at the hubs around the world, the airlift from North America, the airlift from the UK, but not just, if I look at the airlift to Greece from the UK as an example, a lot of it's London, but for the Gulf, you can fly to Dubai, Abu Dhabi from all over the UK on all the different regional airports. So it's a great winter sun destination, a natural place for us to go.
And you mentioned quite a few markets that you're selling in now. We might come on to that, but how is the UK within that? Is it still forming, quite a lion's share, or is it mainly North America? How does it work?
So the UK is growing at a rapid pace for us. So actually, if I look at our growth that we've achieved since 2021, we're absolutely delighted with the growth that we're getting in the UK, and that's going to continue as we add more capacity. The one thing about places like Dubai and Abu Dhabi and Qatar is Brits are used to traveling there. So actually it's a great winter sun destination. And we're excited as we get through the summer and get into September. That's the natural booking window for late winter sun.
And you mentioned two ships and two sort of hubs there. So tell us about that. What you're doing for next winter?
So we've got 2 ships, one home porting in Qatar, which is Celestial Journey, and then we have Celestial Discovery home porting in Abu Dhabi. So
and is that offering quite a different experience then? I mean, for people who don't know that region, I mean, are they quite different, the itineraries?
There's absolute difference in the 2 itineraries. One is designed to be a 7-night slower pace. A different port every day. It goes to the likes of Bahrain, Sabah, it also goes down to Oman and Kasab. And then we have a 3 and 4 night itinerary, which is absolutely designed to be paired with a land stay. You can do a weekend where you'll have a beach day in Sabah, the private island there, which is fantastic. Or you can go to, and it goes to Dubai on the Saturday, or you can do the longer midweek where you will go to Oman and you will go to Sabah as well. So we're seeing great pickup from our partners taking that 3 and 4 night and packaging it with a couple of nights. And so many people are used to going to Dubai, spending 2 nights on a beach or 3 nights or 4 nights on a beach. They're still doing that, but now they're actually going and seeing the other parts of the region, which is an ideal way to do it.
And we mustn't ignore the fact, though, that there's obviously been an escalation of the conflict in that region. I know obviously your first winter season probably missed that, but is that a concern for you going forward with, what you're saying about, putting so much more emphasis on that region going forward?
Yeah, obviously, like all cruise lines, safety and security of our crew and our guests is our first priority. Last year, we took the decision to position the ship the long way around the Cape of Africa because we were still very committed to that winter season. as we are today, we'll continue to be very committed, but we'll continue to monitor it, and we will do what's right for our crew and our guests. What I would say at the moment is we've been monitoring both rate of sale and cancellation rate. We've seen no change in cancellation rate since some of the recent conflict. And our booking pace is where we want it to be. So actually we're on
so it hasn't even softened demand?
No, we haven't seen a softness in our global demand at all. I think there's some markets that we have seen a bit of softness, but actually from a global perspective, we're building our occupancy alliance.
Are you talking about America? They're probably not so keen to come across to that region, I would imagine. But that's then an opportunity for the UK, I guess. If you're not filling it with so many Americans, then I guess you can ramp up in the UK.
This deployment is designed for the UK. So the US is actually was only 9% of our passengers in the Gulf region last year. I think it will come out about 15 this year at the current rate of sale. But if you compare that to the Mediterranean, a little over 55% of our passengers in the Med are Americans. So actually, we expect a reverse of that for Brits and Americans in the Gulf. So it's designed for this market.
All right, get selling it then.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, and you mentioned the Mediterranean there. Let's talk about that, because we're coming fully into the season now in Greece and elsewhere in the Med. So tell us about that. How's that looking and shaping up for this year?
Good. I think like most cruise lines, but most travel operators, there was a softness in that kind of wave period. So actually, there's still pockets of good deals, I think, available. We're actually pretty full in the rest of this month, and then into August. There's a few bits of availability. But in general, it's been a really good season. So higher occupancy than last year.
And what about average selling price? How's that looking?
Yeah, good. I mean, the interesting thing with our average selling price is because we've changed the product so much. You know, we were selling two older vessels without premium cabins. We've just invested in the Discovery, as we know. So actually, we're seeing a price increase.
Because you can charge more because you know you've got a more premium product. Yeah,
exactly.
Okay. So that's...
and we've introduced a new itinerary this year as well, the Heavenly Adriatic, that goes up to Venice in the summer, and then does the coast there of Croatia and Montenegro. So that's been really good, and we're going to put more of those in for 2026. We've just put 2027 through until March 2028 on sale. So
and that's what people are telling us. They're either seeing a lot of, obviously a very strong lates market because of the, softness at the start of the year. I think it's come up much later, or they're seeing really strong, very forward bookings. Is that what you're seeing as well? Yeah, I mean, there is a later market this year than we saw last year for sure. So we're definitely seeing that there is a later market. And yes, absolutely. If you look at markets like North America or even Australia, they are booking earlier and earlier, and I think that's a rallying cry, certainly to UK agents, to say there will be a race for space. Don't leave it too late.
Trying to get some of those cabins booked in as early as possible, I think, is essential, because others are racing into that space. And
what about this Greek tourist tax that's coming in, Lee? I mean, that's a problem. Well, I know it's not on every single island, but it's going to affect cruise lines that are calling it certain islands. So how are you accommodating? How are you what's the impact on your business or on your customers? Is it a big problem, or how are you dealing with it?
So look, we continue to and have, we participate as part of Clear, and we work with as a Greek cruise line, we work with our Greek tourism partners. It's something that the Greek government has implemented as of the 21st of June. It's been implemented. And we will do what other cruise lines will do. We'll take collection of that tourism fee as guests disembark the ship. But we will give the option as well for some of our tour operator partners or group providers to pay for that in advance. Okay, so if they know they're going to get off in Mykonos, for example, you could calculate that, because people prefer to pay it up front rather than get stung with it at the end. Is that the point? Absolutely. So we've put a full FAQ out to all of our agent partners, made it very clear that there's two options there. There's a payment portal that they can make that payment prior, or guests can pay it at the end of their voyage. Is it putting people off? I mean, if they want to do a Greek Islands cruise, they're unlikely to want to miss some of those iconic islands, I guess. But I mean, is it enough money that it's putting people off, do you think? I don't think it's necessarily putting people off, but it is a cost that goes on top of the cruise that they've already purchased, which from
and only for cruise. It's not for all tourists, is it? It's just cruise
exactly.
passengers, which feels a little bit unfair.
Yeah, you could say that. You said that.
But you're fighting it with clear, as you say.
Yeah.
I mean, it's obviously something that,
Exactly.
as an industry, it's putting you at a disadvantage.
Exactly, and it's not just isolated to the Greek islands. We know we can see what we're here in Alaska, and we're here in Mexico, and different parts of the Caribbean. So it's something that we need to work collectively as a cruise line and work with Clear. What I would say is, from our perspective, having as much time as possible to communicate that to guests is important. So any guest knows that when they're budgeting, they know what they're budgeting for their cruise. Yeah.
All right. Good. All right. So we hope you do really well this summer. And if you've got clients who want to go to the Greek islands in August, you've got a little bit of space left, which is great. But let's come on to the news that you announced last night at the Agent Achievement Awards. Thank you very much for choosing that, choosing our event to make this announcement. Maybe I shouldn't steal your thunder. Tell us what it is you announced last night.
So, as you would have heard if you were at the Agent Achievement Awards last night with Jan Parton, our VP and, delighted to say, now Managing Director of Celestyal Travel. We've launched a fully packaged travel product in partnership with Hayes Travel, joining the Hayes Travel Independence Group. And that means that we can provide a full package product for our travel agent partners, which is fantastic.
This is so important, because I know this is something that they were asking you for. It makes their life so much easier, gives them that protection. But so I guess you were just doing this in response to their sort of demands, were you?
It's absolutely in response to agent feedback, and certainly when you look at the product that we provide, people and agents were giving us feedback. They would like us to do that full package of flights, hotels, shore experiences, both for the Gulf product, but also in the Greek islands. So we're delighted, and we'll add more and more product to that.
Okay.
So,
and it's live. I mean, I know you announced it last night, but you can start booking straight away.
Start booking. The other news that you probably heard last night is that we've also opened a UK office, and we've opened a UK contact center, dedicated contact center for travel agents. So we have a team that's been hired, they've been trained, they've been on board the vessels, and they're ready to start taking agents' calls. So this really is our continued commitment to this market, but continued commitment to travel agents as well. They told us they wanted to speak to someone in the UK. So we have a UK contact centre.
So this is pretty significant, and it's quite game changing. What do you think it's going to do to your UK business?
It's going to go crazy.
Through the roof.
We expect continued growth. As I said, if you look at the growth numbers in the UK, even without this product, which they've told us they want, we are growing at a really rapid rate for us. We're delighted.
So these are people who are just taking the cruise only bit and putting it together themselves, either with a tour. That was very strong for you, I know. Okay, so but this opens up a whole new market, I guess.
And when we're building the platform for growth. So we've always been very honest that the first part of our plan was to change the old ships with the two ships that we have, expand on a global scale from a deployment perspective, so have a winter program. When we add, and we will, we've always said we'll add more vessels, and hopefully we'll have news on that before the end of the year. That means that we've now got a platform for growth. We've built the team, and we've scaled the team. To do that. We've made, in the last 6 weeks, I've lost count of how many hires we've made in the commercial team, everything from marketing to revenue management to the new contact center team.
And how many people then in the contact, just to go back to that point about your office, which is where, by the way, and how many people are working?
So we have 5 people in the contact center to start off with. And the office will be based in Guildford in Surrey.
Okay, all right. And so these people are going to be taking calls from travel agents, and are you going to do the same in other markets as well? Have your own sort of call, offices and call centres in other markets, or? So
we have our contact centre in Piraeus in Greece.
I know,
and then we have a contact centre outsourced model in North America. This is the first market that we're having a dedicated contact center to do this.
That speaks volumes, I guess, of how important this market is to you. Okay, all right. And then you just mentioned growth and other ships. You can't get away with that. We need to ask you more about that. Okay, so you hopefully make an announcement by the end of the year. So you're not building ships, you're looking for ones that are the right kind of ships, that are the right size, and then you can do a refit job on them like you did with Discovery and Journey. So will you then put those ships in the same regions that you're now trying to really sort of dominate, or are you going to look in other parts of the world?
So in answer to the first question, everything's on the table. So from a purchasing vessels and investing in them. We've done a fantastic job, and our customers and guests have told us we've done a great job with the 2 vessels that we've done.
Yeah.
New build is not off the table.
Okay.
We're building a plan to build the business on a global scale, which means that we will invest heavily in fleet.
Yeah. And what the lead-in time would be? It must be 5 years from placing an order to then delivery. So
exactly, that's why if you look at the kind of current landscape and availability of exactly that, of being able to build ships, we have a long-term plan. So there's a short-term plan which we've executed so far, and then there's the kind of medium-term plan of how we expand the fleet, and then we'll have to build that long-term plan, which you have to commit to be able to build vessels further out. So you will hear news from us in due course, and no doubt Travel Weekly will hear that first. But I think there's a lot of exciting stuff that's happening with our business. We've recently announced a major refinancing, which was a big step for us, and that's based on the fact that last year we had a record EBITDA, record revenues. So we've got a really good platform for growth.
Okay. And the record, was it ahead of what you're expecting? No?
Yes.
Okay, so this refinancing has come off the back of a better performance than you even anticipated.
Exactly. So this refinancing is a major step forward for us.
So it means you can accelerate, presumably, those
It means
plans.
that we've got more capital available to accelerate those plans and continue to invest in really partnerships, people, and the fleet. So,
Brilliant. Well, let's just come back to that to finish off then, in terms of what people on the ground are going to see. I mean, you say you've got these great partnerships with agents already. Presumably the task now is to get out to even more agents, work with agents you're not working with, or get more from the ones you are. And I guess that's Jan and her team's job as in her new role as MD of the tour operation. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. Jan kind of has to wear 2 hats, if you like. So we have the core business, which is Celestyal Cruises, which is our cruise line. And we work with a number of tour operators and travel agents that take that cruise only fare and they'll package that themselves. And then we have the travel business, which is designed for our agents that want to take a travel product. So we have a team that's very much focused on being on the ground and business development, and then we have a team that's going to be very focused on advisor and agent engagement. And I'm really looking forward to September when we come out with a new dedicated campaign just for agents, which is really exciting. Do you want to tell us? Do you want to tease us a little bit? What I would say is some of the agents will know, because we've been talking to them for the last probably 2-3 months. We've been doing a lot of market research. Yeah. We've done a lot with the brand from a consumer perspective, and then we've obviously been behind the scenes working on the launch of Celestyal Travel. Yeah. And we needed to put the cherry on the top, if you like, with a dedicated new agent campaign that's focused on agents with call to actions for agents. So this is kind of the final piece.
I'm excited about that. That's good.
I always want to leave you with just a little bit more to come.
All right. Well, we'll see, I guess, in September what that is all about. Congratulations. What 6 months you've had then. It sounds like
it's been very busy.
You've been very busy. Well, you had a nice relax last night, and we wish you all the best, and thank you for telling Travel Weekly.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Lee.